Today we're going to be trying something brand new here on the channel. We're going to be showcasing 3 zero rare budget decks that I was able to put together. And the way this is going to work is we're going to actually go through each deck individually, briefly breaking them down, and then showcasing 1 or 2 games with each deck. And then at the end of today's video, we're going to, break these decks down with a little bit more in-depth analysis to showcase to you guys how we put these things together. This is kind of uncharted territory here on the channel. So if you guys do enjoy content like this and want to see more, obviously give the video a like. If you want to subscribe as well, that also helps a lot and I'd greatly appreciate it. But with that being said, guys, let's dive right on in. Budget deck number 1, we are talking about an Azorius tempo list. Now this one is very reminiscent of Azorius Magecraft that we just recently had in standard before it rotated out, but it still got a lot of the same powerful mechanics as the previous deck did. It's a very simple idea of trying to get a creature down extremely early, something like the Delver, the Virtuoso, and then we're going to be pumping those creatures up with 1/1 counter spells, things to give them vigilance to try to beat our opponent down over time, all while protecting our creatures with things like hexproof and slip out the back, phasing the creature out. It's a very consistent and powerful list that I'm really surprised, with 0 rares is very competitive. So we're actually going to take this thing right onto the diamond ladder. And with that being said, guys, enjoy these games. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a new format here on the channel. We're going to be trying out something new today, and we're up with Azorius Tempo in the first deck of today, the budget decks of the day. List number 1, this one is pretty powerful. I've been having some success with it here and there. And we kick things off with Virtuoso in hand. Going second is not ideal. 3 Virtuosos is also not ideal, but you know what? I still think this is good enough to get it going. But yeah, the idea is simple here, guys. I'm sure it's a tale as old as time. You just get a creature down, we try to protect it the best we can, and hopefully it gets bigger and badder than anything the opponent could bring forward, and we just win the game. All right, that's pretty solid. I like having Delver on turn 1 here, actually, because if we transform this, it's a pretty serious threat. Opponent starts off with Kumano, though, so Essence Capture going to be a very good card if we can find, a second blue source. That's a flyer. Looks like they have a burn spell. Okay, I'm okay with that if they want to kill it. I'd rather have the Virtuoso, to be honest, so I am okay with that. Hopefully Virtuoso sticks, though. Hopefully no removal spells for this. And then if I can just get this Homestead Courage off on it, we're good to go. Because then I could connive, hopefully finding in, some other tools. There we go. Perfect. Perfect. I think we're sitting pretty nice now. So Virtuoso gets the Homestead Courage, which gives vigilance. We drop another Virtuoso to grow it as well. And slip out the back is perfect. And we also have Essence Capture. So we're going head to head basically with this chick that I can't block. I think we win that battle every time. Already down to 14. If I can find my lifelink spell as well, we can give our Virtuoso lifelink for a turn. That'd be really good. That's an easy Essence Capture. I think we got this, guys. There it is. GG's. Nice and simple, clean victory. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Let's go ahead and play another one. These games are going to go quick for this deck, so let's play one more. All right, game number 1. Smashing success there. I love that. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, man, I hope you guys are enjoying this new format a little bit. I know I've been asked to do this a bit, so I hope it's received well. But yeah, hopefully these 3 decks are exciting for those who, are a little bit more on the budget side of things. That's the whole idea of today's video, is just to share some good ideas where people can, play Magic and have fun with a limited amount of wild cards. You know what I mean? All right. Hand looks pretty good here, by the way. Might want to try to actually play my Storm Chaser Drake. We're seeing Bant colors. That's interesting. I'm just glad we haven't seen Mono Black yet. I've seen Mono Black every game, and it's been really, really annoying, to be honest. All right, well, I think we're going to have to match power with power here, if I'm being honest. And if they're the type of deck that I think they are, which is a similar deck to my own, they're going to have no removal spells usually, but they could have like a Valorant Stance, which would be pretty bad. Bypass. Okay, that's fine. Bypass is fine. So this is just going to come down to who can pump their Virtuoso up bigger and badder, I think. And my Homestead Courages, I'll take those over whatever it is they're trying to do here. So Sure. They do go first, though, which is a big advantage. We'll see if we can recover. Hopefully we find that lifelink card I was discussing earlier, and we can really run away with this game. Now, there really is no point in keeping these creatures because I can't throw them down as, you know, chump blockers anyways because of the bypass. What's it gonna be? They're throwing away lands, which I don't know if that's the right call, just because, again, this is gonna be a race to see who can get their Virtuoso bigger faster. I would like to see a protection spell off the top, though, like a slip out the back or a hexproof mechanic. That'd be really great. Wow, that's way too much land. That's way too much land. All right, well, we are up to a 4/4, which doubles their Virtuoso. So, I mean, we could potentially close the game out by next turn if our Virtuoso gets big enough. We don't have anything to play for the blue, though, which is a bit of a bummer. So there's no protection here for it. So if they're gonna, you know, bounce it or do something like that, it is fair game right now, which would probably win them the game, to be honest. We have so many protection spells in our deck, too. You would think that we could have found one there, but nope. We need slip out the back, you know, spell pierce, something like that. All right, they dropped down another spell here. It's Serpent Ambush. Until the end of turn, target creature becomes a blue serpent with base power and toughness 5/5. So it's going to be 5, 6, 6, 7, 7. All right, we do survive, though. Even if they connive away a spell here. All right, we survived down to 1. Are we going to pull this off? We might pull this off, ladies and gentlemen. It depends, though. If they put down another body in front of me to block with, that would be pretty bad. They don't. They don't have another body here for us. And we get the lifelink mechanic. Oh, yeah, they're in trouble. They are in trouble. It looks like they have nothing to answer this with. Oh, that's tough. That's tough. Looks like that's going to be GG's, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going all the way back up to 19 life total. Gosh darn it, man. I knew it was going to come down to a race. It was going to be who was going to get their Virtuoso bigger faster. And with theirs, they made a few mistakes there in the beginning by dumping off these 2 lands. Had they pumped it up a little bit further, they might have beat me, but they just I don't think they saw the future of this game playing out the way it did, the way I thought it would be. Budget deck number 2. Now, this one's a little bit more complicated, but this one's definitely my favorite out of the 3 lists. A little less competitive, obviously, than the first one we had. But this one's going to be a Sultai reanimator deck. I absolutely love reanimation decks, but it's going to focus on Graveyard Shift, which is a spell that's going to allow us to bring a creature back from our graveyard to the battlefield. And so, of course, we've got the best creatures we can find with a 0 rare deck. We got things like Dusk Mangler, Brambleworm, and Colossus Sky Turtle. And the turtle's really good because it can actually bounce things, pull things back from the graveyard. But mostly we're going to be playing out these creatures to try to close out any game that we want to play and try to get them down early with the Graveyard Shift. Now, the rest of the deck obviously wants to be drawing and discarding cards to get those things to the graveyard. And along the way, we've got some fun stuff like the War Leech, which is going to come down as a 4-drop and typically going to be like a 7/7 as far as its size goes because of the graveyard having, 7 mana creatures in them. It's a really fun deck. Again, this one is definitely more fun than the other ones, but probably a little less competitive. So we're not going to be taking this one onto the ranked ladder, but the play queue, we had some really fun games. So enjoy. All right, so this deck is going to be my favorite of the 3. This is going to be budget deck number 2. It's going to be Sultai Reanimator. We did take this one off the ladder, though. I don't think this one is necessarily going to be a competitor on the ladder of Diamond. It is a lot of fun. Maybe you at home could tweak it and make it competitive enough for Diamond, but we've been seeing a lot of mono black, which answers this sort of mechanic really, really easily. We're trying to reanimate stuff. We're trying to get down one big creature, and things like Liliana seem to be everywhere. Mono black is everywhere, so it's been answering everything we've been doing pretty easily. So I want to be realistic for you guys, and this one's going to have to be a play queue one, but man, I'm telling you, by far my favorite of the 3 decks for sure. The next deck that we're going to do, though, for sure we can run it on the ladder. It's gonna be another decent deck for you that should be pretty competitive. All right, gonna drop down the falls, say go. We're gonna hit a Tainted Indulgence. No plays from our opponent on turn 3 here. Interesting. And let's see, we drop a green source for sure. I know we have the Mangler, which we do want to get into the graveyard eventually here. But I think it's fine to get a land in the graveyard because we do need to up the mana, the amount of different mana types we have in the graveyard, so the Tainted Indulgence can eventually just draw us cards outright. All right, Thirst for Discovery. Looks like it's going to be a hit. Nice. Decline this. And we're going to put these 2 in the graveyard because we want to make sure we can find our reanimator spell and get these out for cheap. And we draw into another one anyways, so that works out nice. Let's go for another black source here. And we got ourselves a War Leech, which War Leech is now a 7/7 on a 4-drop. Very good body for a cheap creature, man, I'm telling you. And they find a blue source, so they've been digging for a blue source this whole time, huh? Wonder if they're running a lot of removal. Looks like they might be. Looks like they might be. All right, Sky Turtle can bounce creatures. That's it. Okay, just making sure. 2, 4, 6. I don't have any plays except for the Indulgence here. Let's play it though. Let's see what we hit. Maybe we get something good. All right, that's really good. Obviously, I think I'm gonna flash into Dusk Mangler, of course, because Dusk Mangler is going to be able to make them discard a card, which looks like, you know, them being control could be really good. Also, that's not, you know, a bad thing to try to kill as well. Whenever it enters the battlefield, put 1/1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. Okay. Interesting. So they do run a lot of creatures, but we're not seeing them just yet. Not seeing them yet. All right, flash in the graveyard shift here for sure. Takes care of this and a card out of their hand, of course. Hopefully no counter magic from our opponent though. Now that they're showing us blue, it is a little bit scarier. Potentially counter magic. All right, let's go ahead and let them resolve that, and then hopefully they play it one more time. They do. Do they have another thing they can do? Because the Mangler is just going to absolutely decimate them if they want to just overcommit on one creature here. I mean, they could have Slip Out the Back though, which would be good though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't do the Hero's Downfall as well in response, but I could bounce it back to their hand if it, you know, gets slipped out the back. What do they got? They're doing something here. Initiate. Okay, yeah, we got to go now so they don't have the Initiate as a choice to sacrifice. All right, Mangler's down. We'll be seeing you. Card out of their hand, dealing a little bit of damage. Good shape. We're in great shape. All right, let's go. Let's go, man. Fair enough. I could return that to my hand, but I don't need to. I don't need to. We'll hang on to our Sky Turtle for something else. Ooh, we get the worm. Let's go. I think we're just going to do this, though. Pay for life. We have plenty of life to spare. There goes their last card in hand. There goes their last creature on the battlefield. And we're looking good, man. Let's see what their last card in the top deck here is. It's a land. So they're in a lot of trouble now. This is not looking good for them. And I am going to just go ahead and do this. Bring back this. And say go. And then we're going to bring back another Dusk Mangler. Wait, do we have another one? Oh, I don't even have another one. That was a mistake on my part. I forgot they exiled it. That's fine. We still bring back the Dusk Mangler. Or, I'm sorry, the Sky Turtle. Which we could have just cast last turn. Kind of redundant, huh? I thought for sure we had the Dusk Mangler in the graveyard. I should have looked prior. I totally forgot they exiled it instead. But this is going to be game. Hero's Downfall here. Good game, even though I played that really silly at the end there. But that was a really good game, man. Let's go ahead and let's run it one more time just to see what we can do. All right, one more game here. One more game. Hopefully I don't do something silly like that in the next game. Alrighty, what do we got here? Thirst for Discovery on turn 3. It's doable if we find a third land drop, man. I'll see what I can do. I'll see what I can do. We might not be able to recover with this hand. We'll see though. Uncharted Haven is nice because it's any land we want it to be, which is always good. Acts basically as a triumph for us in these non-triumph decks. All right, another one of these, which means this has got to be blue. The mana's a bit slow here, and it's another Azorius deck, huh? And it's got training. I've seen this card. Seen this card before. It's got training. Another Thirst for Discovery is okay, I guess. I would like to see maybe a kill spell at the top of our deck. Preferably Cut Down would be perfect for this next turn because we have another tap land coming in. So we're going to be taking another turn off here, essentially. Can't really have that. Not when this Rafine's Informant's going to be conniving, because now it's bigger and it's going to allow the other creature to train. All right, well, that does bounce something, which is super helpful, actually. So that's a good find. If it's not a kill spell, that's actually a really good second choice. We are going to give them the option to connive again, but at least they're going to have to respend the mana, and they're not going to be able to train either. So we're still sitting at a nice, healthy 20 life total after this turn's over. I just am curious as to what will be left on the battlefield when this is over. They didn't play another creature, so it's probably going to be the Informant coming back down again after this attack step. Okay. Oh man, my allergies. Sorry, guys. All right, Informant comes back down. They draw, they discard. What sort of things are they discarding, by the way? 1/1 counter on target vehicle, and tap it, return target permanent you control their owner's hand. All right. Interesting. We might Hero's Downfall here. That might be the move. Just trying to really slow them down, I think, is going to be key here. Just stay patient. Keep slowing them down. Eventually, we're going to get to our Thirst for Discovery and hopefully find a Reanimator spell. We'll see. But right now, we just got to pace it slowly. There's our Reanimator spell. All right, we'll go ahead and play this out now. Hopefully, a cut down. Beautiful. We find the cut down. Actually, we're going to decline this. We need the land. We'll drop these two. And we'll play out the land and we'll say go. So we got a 3-drop, 7 drops, 3 drops, 7 drops, only 2, huh? Okay. So we're not going to be able to instant speed this. There's no way. You know what? Before that hit the battlefield, I definitely should have cut down the Giada prior to that being resolved. Shoot. They get the 1/1 counter now. That's on me. That's on me. I was so focused on my own thing here, trying to figure out what we have in the graveyard and how we can get this at instant speed, but it doesn't really matter. All right, Dusk Mangler always seems like the most fun out of all the choices here, so let's go ahead and grab it. They don't have a really good choice here because obviously the Overseer being the 3/2 over the top is great, but this has the mechanic to train, which could potentially get bigger over time, which is a lot more value maybe. So it's a harder choice. It's a very hard choice to make. All right. And I do still have the Bramble Worm that's going to gain us a lot of life when it enters the battlefield. And all my creatures are definitely going to be bigger than theirs. They're struggling to hit their land drops, though. Another Borrowed Time. Wow. Borrowed Time really going in on us, huh? All right. Well, no Dusk Mangler this time, but like I said, Bramble Worm seems pretty fun. It has reach too, so we can make some good blocks here. This also is a 7/7 in our hand, which is so good. Ooh, that's not bad. They can actually choose my worm as the target. Wow. Solid. Solid, solid. All right, let's see what we draw here. No basics. Okay. I think we drop 1 leech, and the only reason I say 1 leech is because that'll open up the Tainted Indulgence. As a draw mechanic here. All right, we'll take you out. And we'll attack in. And like I said, Tainted Indulgence now is going to allow us to draw cards without having to discard, which is actually so much better, obviously, than having to discard. So, Lion Sash, okay, that's fine. Oh, that's actually pretty bad. Lion Sash is going to be able to exile most of the cards out of my graveyard, which in turn turns off a lot of my reanimation and potentially my indulgence if they take the right card. Wow, they did take the right card. Crazy. Didn't see that coming, honestly. Thought for sure the Sky Turtle was going to be the pick, but nope. All right, let's just make this a kicked spell here. Nice. Nice. That worked out nicely. Let's go and attack in for 7, putting them down to 10. We have trample, so this is a really hard creature for them to block, and I don't blame them for not blocking. All right. We're probably gonna have to cast this before they get going here on the exiling effects. They can do this 3 times, which is a bummer. So if they do this 3 times, this is gonna hit this and this. Okay, so my leech is gonna be really small now. That's lame. And we draw into a cut down 2, which would have been a perfect answer, but now it's too big. Too big. We still should win this game. It's just a bit annoying the way it's kind of developing here with that sash. The sash really just destroying my my war leech's mechanic here. But they grab on that one. My reanimation spell. All right, that shuts down my cut down. That's tough. All right, we attack in with both here, giving them the option to block. They're gonna have to block, so. All right, and we play a second leech. Let's kick this one too. We have the negate, which is great. So even if they want to try to exile with another banishing, what is it, banishing or borrowed time? I almost said banishing light. Borrowed time, we can counter it. This is gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay. They're gonna keep activating the sash though, I would imagine, a little bit here. I just wonder what's in their hand. Do they have anything that answers the current board state? Because we have a 7/6 trampler, you know, and if this goes up to 7 though, they can block there, but the 4 still goes wide around them. I mean, depending on what they can exile. Can they take out all of me? Let's see. 1, 2. Wow, they actually are gonna get this thing down to like a 3/3, which I mean is still good enough though. Still good enough for lethal. And again, negate is good. Even if they have like some sort of bounce mechanic here, we can protect our squad. So let's go and attack in and try to close this game out. See if we get the W here. Looks like we do. Maybe? I mean, they still haven't conceded yet. Nope. Nothing, huh? Again, if they had any sort of answer like a bounce mechanic or something like that, we did have the negate. So we were looking pretty good there either way. So very good games though, man. On to the next deck. Budget deck number 3, we are talking about a Naya aggro deck. Now this one was pretty simple for us to put together because it is very much a turn 'em sideways list. So we are looking for things that are fast, strong, and you know, they have haste maybe. You know, that was kind of the idea of putting this one together. And we came out with something pretty great, honestly. We got some new cards from Dominaria. We've got the things like Phoenix Chick and Lightning Strike. But we've also got things like the Iconoclast and the Fury Rider. If you guys don't know, Iconoclast will come in if you pay its kicker cost and hitting our opponent for 4 right away, which is some great value, you know, as a 4, you know, powered 3-drop creature. That's pretty good. And then obviously the Fury Rider is going to be pumping up the entire squad and also benefiting them with things like, you know, Trample and Vigilance, which can be very, very helpful in the late game and kind of closing out the game. It's a very, you know, consistent deck. It's, again, not a lot of strategy behind this one. You turn them sideways. We try to kill our opponent as fast as possible. But we are going to try to attempt to take this one again onto the diamond ladder. So enjoy these games. All right, budget list number 3. We're heading back to the ladder for this one. Hopefully get some diamond tier wins here. Don't know if it's going to be the case, but we're going to try our best. But I do believe this deck is going to be a little more consistent than the previous one we just played. I'm hoping to showcase something good here, man. This is this deck feels really nice, and it's got some really good cards in it for sure. Some really good stuff in here. Let's see. What do we got in the opening hand? Some tap lands. Don't feel very good on those, but you know what? It should be okay. We have Kumano kicking things off, which I always love. This might work. Gonna be a little slow, but it might work. Okay. That might change things a little bit here, but I want to give the blade... I want to give the blade the buff here, so... I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with the Chick first and then Kumano second. I'm going to match your Chick with my Chick here, and then I'll play the Kumano out next, playing a tap land, get the Blade in on the third turn, giving it the 1/1 counter, which should be a lot more powerful than anything that they're trying to do, I hope. All right, the Ronin's going to be a bit of a nightmare and nuisance to deal with, that's for sure. Kumano for sure is the next play here. Tap land, gain some life. Get him down to 17. We're matching him right now 1-for-1 at the moment, but that Ronin is going to get him a lot of value. But hopefully the Geist can then recover the field here with it being 2/2 and double strike. That's going to be kind of huge. And all these tap lands are actually going to be pretty helpful here currently, because they're gaining us life and we don't necessarily need to be on any specific curve at the moment. All right, so now their Ronin is irrelevant. They can't attack it anymore with that. And if we attack it with our own Geist here, we're hitting it for 4, but immediately it gets strangled. All good, though. All good. Kumano transforms. All right, Kumano transforms. We do get the Tori, which is great. It's a big body. I think that's the move, right? I think that's the move. We go ahead and get these through, get the Tori down, and now all of our creatures are going to get a bit of a buff on the attack here. So we're hitting our land drops. They're not. I think that's going to be a big key to our success here. Obviously, Lightning Strike, obviously Burn Spells hit Tori pretty good here, but answering back ourselves. Oh, another Tori. Okay. Another Tori plus life gain here seems pretty good. Seems pretty good. And now we finally passed our opponent here, where we were kind of neck and neck in this race the whole way through, and we finally passed them up a little bit on the track, and we've got the momentum on our side. So oh yeah, this is huge. This is huge. This is gonna be good. This is gonna be a very good turn here. We're gonna give double strike to, does this give it also to itself? All other attacking creatures you control, all other get the pump. So we're gonna go, actually, what am I doing? This has haste, right? So let's get this in. Let's get this on it. And that should be game. I would imagine. I would imagine that's game. Getting double strike, trample, haste, all that good stuff. Let's go. Huge. We took down mono red. Love that. Especially going second. That's a big deal, man. That's a big deal. I know they didn't hit all their land drops, but you know what? Going second, we were still at a slight disadvantage there. Feels good. Feels good. All right, one more game. Let's see if we can keep that consistency going, man. That felt really, really solid. The only problem I have with this deck and its consistency is, I would say, immediately, if you guys have wild cards and do decide to make something cheap like this, change the lands if you can. If you have the mana to do the better lands, do the better lands, because they're going to make all the difference in the speed of this deck. Because you really got to be very careful on how you sequence your lands with this one, because you're trying to be aggressive, yet your lands are kind of working against you in that way. So keep. This is an easy keep for me, but I do need to see. Oh, there we go. That's actually really nice. Okay, so let's get the Blade Geist down. Follow that up with the Cavalier, and we're looking good. Mono black is not fun to play against, though. I'm sure we're going to see some sort of cut down here. Cut down does not hit our Cavalier, though. We could play the Thief, though, and the Thief does guarantee that we get our Tori out on curve, which might be important. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's do that. It's a slower play for sure. It's definitely the slower play, because Cavalier obviously hitting him for an extra 3 there would have been nice, but I think getting Tori down on curve is more important. All right, it's a good chance we see a Liliana come down here and minus, and if it does, we're going to go ahead and sacrifice the Twin Blade Geist, and then we'll Lightning Strike the Liliana. That's also a Lightning Strikeable creature there. Is that the play, though? I guess so. I guess so. All right, get in there. We're gonna hang on to our Unnatural Moonrise for now. That's mostly for when Cavalier gets down, we can get some extra benefits from it. Obviously, drawing cards off of it's nice, but we get added benefit if we can just wait a little bit here. There's the Liliana. I wonder if they minus here though. If they minus, that's actually not going to be great for them, I don't think, because we get back the double strike onto our Jewel Thief. Potentially even worse here, which looks like it is going to be worse. Yep. 3, 6, so 9 total damage here. Nine total damage. We don't really care about the discard now, do we? No, we don't. Skill face. We don't care about the discard. We will drop the Moonrise if we have to. It does have flashback, so we can recast it anyways. We're gonna see Invoke Despair, I would imagine, which means we would lose our enchantment and a creature here. But the Unnatural Moonrise, it does give my creature a pump. Wow, meat hook for 3. Why didn't I anticipate that though? That seemed like a pretty obvious thing. Mono black, probably the best deck in the meta right now. So if we lose to mono black, I'm not going to be too ashamed about that at all. But what a bummer, man. I thought we had him on the ropes there. I really did. Meat Hook Massacre came in clutch though. All right, this can come in with some haste, right? Kicker. I've actually never got a chance to play this yet. I'm surprised it hasn't made its way to the top of our deck yet. Kicker for 1 red. Trample whenever it comes into enters the battlefield. If it was kicked, it gets a 1/1 in haste. That's really good, actually. Let's do it. And I don't think I can afford to hit him in the face here because Liliana will just minus. I'm going to go ahead and kill Liliana and force them to have some sort of removal spell. We avoid cut down, which is great. Obviously, Invoke Despair would be a complete blowout, which I'm sure they have it. It is what it is. Mono Black has everything good. I'm just hoping that's not the case. We'll see. Invoke Despair, yep. I knew it. I knew it. We did everything we could, though, and I mean, we hung in there, and again, we almost closed it out there. We were so close. So close. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get down Tori. Hopefully it survives the turn, but I doubt it. If it does, you know, we get the chick down, there's a good chance we might be able to close out here. We'll see. Nope. Another Invoke Despair. Back-to-back despairs. And trust me, I am in despair, man. That's a good one. That is a good one. Tough. Champion of the Perished. I'm just gonna finish this game out to see what we top deck here. Oh, another one. Okay. I mean, it's something. I mean, that's a good card. You're giving me hope. They're giving me little cheese bits of hope that I'm eating the crumbs, right? I'm eating the crumbs, and then they hit me with the third Invoke Despair, and it's over, you know? Or like a second Liliana. Okay. Okay. Those have Death Touch, though, if you guys don't know. And Death Touch, not very fun to have to deal with. Okay, so they are going to draw cards, taking damage. You're giving me more hope. But they draw... Oh, I forget they get the life gain off of the Apocalypse, though. Good old Shieldred. All right. Take the 3. That's not what we wanted to see. All right, let's go here. Let's go here. Drawing a card, and that card is a land. That'll do it. That will do it, ladies and gentlemen. We tried our best here. We went against Mono Black, probably the best deck, like I said, in the meta currently. Everyone and their mom is running the Mono Black deck right now, so I had a feeling we were going to lose this game when I saw it was Mono Black, but I had hope early on because we were actually doing a really good job. But yeah, it just didn't work out in our favor. So that's going to be game. But really fun 2 games with this deck for sure, and I liked it a lot. For what it was, budget deck, Diamond Ladder, not bad, honestly. Not bad at all. All right, we've come to the conclusion of today's video, which is going to be a breakdown of all 3 decks and talking about what's in the list a little bit more in depth, so you guys have a little bit more of a breakdown. I hope you guys enjoyed today's new format and style of video. This one was a little bit more difficult for me to make because we did have to, you know, triple down on the amount of decks that I put together. So it took a little more in the creative department to put it together, and as far as time goes. But I hope you enjoyed it. We're gonna break it down now, but before I do, huge shout out to everyone who's made it this far into the video. I do appreciate it very, very much. And yeah, with that being said, let's take a look and see what we got. So budget deck number 1, obviously the most I would I would argue the most powerful of the three. It has obviously some really great options as far as creatures go. We've got Delver, we've got Virtuoso, and we've got the Drake. All three of these creatures have made it into, obviously, you know, much better decks that are not zero rare decks, not budget decks. So we know that they're going to be powerful, and they're going to be very good targets, obviously, for spells, because obviously the Drake draws us cards, the Virtuoso connives. So there's this really powerful thing going on where we're gaining benefits off of casting spells on these creatures over time. And Delver obviously plays really well with the deck too, because it could be a 3-2 by turn 2 very consistently, because the deck is made up obviously of a bunch of instant and sorcery speed cards. Now the instant and sorcery speed cards, we'll just go through them really quickly here on what I decided to choose. Homestead Courage is kind of a staple of these types of decks. It can be played twice, which is really helpful, especially when we're discarding with the Virtuoso, so had to make the cut. Obviously, Slip Out the Back, the most powerful protection spell you can have, so we splashed in a few of these, of course, because especially with Liliana floating out there and Mono Black trying to make us sacrifice our creatures, that, you know, that kind of bypasses the hexproof mechanic, so Slip Out the Back is very imperative, especially in this meta. And speaking of Liliana, Spell Pierce had to make the cut as well, because Spell Pierce is a pretty easy answer to Liliana. You're usually going to see Liliana come out on curve. Also, you're going to see, you know, Shieldred come down too. So Spell Pierce is really nice. If this card was in any other build, like a control deck, I would say it's not very good, because you're going to be playing it a lot of times in the late game. In this particular game, your opponent has about 4 to 5 turns to remove your creature off the battlefield. So with that being said, Spell Pierce should almost always have a target to hit where they won't have 2 mana to spend, because they're going to be spending their mana on curve to try to get rid of your creature. So Spell Pierce was fantastic. And then we splashed in Essence Capture, because it not only gives our creatures 1/1 counters, but obviously stops anything maybe big from being put in front of our creatures. Security Bypass made, made the cut. Sorry, I didn't. My brain just shut off there. Security Bypass made the cut, obviously making our creatures unblockable and being able to connive. Such a powerful mechanic. And we saw the revelation of power and just how good this could be. This was actually one of the later additions to the deck, because we needed to fill in some of the spots with cards that may have not, usually made the cut. This was one of those, giving 2/2 and lifelink in almost every case to our creatures, because we have things like Homestead Courage, Slip Out the Back, and Essence Capture giving us 1/1 counters. So this is almost always going to be able to give us lifelink, getting us back into any sort of games where maybe our opponent's trying to go wide and race us down on the clock. And then lastly, we have Shore Up, which is going to give us also 1/1, and then also gaining hexproof, which is really, really nice. And then being able to untap this could potentially allow us to make a block on the return, which is great. The deck was, again, very powerful, very consistent, and not a whole lot to say about it. But with that being said, let's jump to deck number 2. Deck number 2, this one, I was a little disappointed in it. I'm going to be honest, as far as its competitive nature. I was hoping this one would do really well and we could take it on the ladder, but I was, I'm trying to be as honest as possible. This one definitely cannot compete. I tried and tried and tried. Being that we were at the bottom of Diamond, I was, allotted the luxury of being able to replay and not lose my rank over and over. Mono Black just eats this thing alive, and that's the problem, is that it does actually do pretty well against most matchups as far as holding its own. I wouldn't say it absolutely dominates them or anything, but it holds its own against most matchups. But the problem we were having was Mono Black destroys each of these big creatures with simple sacrifice mechanics, which is super annoying, because to beat Mono Black, you kind of got to go wide, or you got to have answers to their their problems, like the Azorius deck does. But we don't have a lot to offer Mono Black here, except for maybe Negate. Obviously we ran Spell Pierce at first too, but that didn't work, because a lot of times we were getting these down. It was turn 5, and when it was turn 5, the opponent had more than enough mana to counter the Spell Pierce with their spells. So it didn't make a whole lot of sense, and we ended up taking this thing to the play queue. We tried a lot of different variations to make it better, but I think this is about as good as you can get as far as Reanimator goes, focusing in on the best creatures we can find. Dusk Mangler being very good, especially the turtle as well. Both of these cards making their way into most of my Reanimator decks as it is. And then we filled in the 4-drop slot with the War Leech. Sorry, that was a sub alert, my bad. The War Leech filled in the 4-drop slot because we did want to make sure that the Indulgence and the Graveyard Shift hit their 5 converted mana costs in the graveyard. So we needed to curve out here, and in the 4-drop slot, the War Leech made a lot of sense, because a lot of times it came in as a 7/7 body, which is really, really good. And then we needed to splash in a lot of removal here, because Sultai colors don't offer anything in the way of sweepers when you're talking about 0 rares. So if you want to add rares into this deck, I would invest into a sweeper if that's the case, because this deck could really use a sweeper, being that we don't want to be playing our creatures till late game anyways, and we don't really care if they die because we bring them back. So we have a lot of spot removal in this deck. But yeah, that's the deck in a nutshell, and that's how we built it. On to deck number 3. So deck number 3 was the Naya aggro deck. Now this one I had a lot of fun with too. I was surprised at how good this one actually turned out to be too, because I really thought, you know, I gotta play Sunrise Cavalier in something because it's such a good card, and for a long time it's been dominating Boros, and the card is fantastic as far as power goes for a uncommon. And then I ran into this one, Fury Rider. I was like, holy cow, this thing is actually nuts. Being able to, you know, not only pump up our team, which is good enough, but then giving all of our red and white creatures these benefits of vigilance and trample. And if you have a red-white creature, it gets vigilance and trample. So I thought this was a no-brainer. But from there, I couldn't find a full deck of Boros cards. Like, we had the Phoenix Chick, we had the Kumano, we had the Lightning Strike. And then from there, I was like, we kind of ran out of gas. I was like, man, there's really not a whole lot here. I obviously added in Twin Blade Geist because it's a double strike creature, and if you can give it, you know, the Kumano plus 1/1, it's very, very good. And then it also gives the double strike to a late game creature with trample, which is fantastic. But from there, I was like, man, we ran out of things to do, and we had a few more slots we had to fill. So I jumped around each color looking at what we could do, and green made a lot of sense because we had things like Jewel Thief, which again is another creature that's used in a lot of mono green decks as it is. And then we have Iconoclast, which turned out to be pretty good. Being able to kick it for red made a lot of sense because it fits right into the Naya colors, and you know, giving it trample in the 1/1 counter, and it comes right in and hits right away. Pretty powerful effect. And then I did just splash this in, which I wish I honestly maybe took this card back. I think we could do a little bit better in this slot, but I thought it would be a cool idea to maybe give my creatures not only Cavalier an extra 1/1 counter when it turns to night, but also drawing cards could be helpful. But I don't know if that's necessarily a good spot in this deck. Valorous Stance obviously making the cut, such a great utility card. But yeah, that was the last deck, man, and that's kind of how we did it, man. That's how we put these things together. I hope you guys enjoyed the full video here and the full breakdowns of each deck. And I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of content. It's different. It's different from what we normally do. I'd say very different, to be honest. It was a lot. It took a lot to do, so I definitely don't think we're going to be doing this weekly or anything. But if you guys do enjoy this stuff and it does really well, I'm down to potentially do this again in the future a few more times. So let me know. I want to see if we can get newer players and people with a little less wild cards to spend, a little bit more to work with. So I hope these 3 decks helped. Hopefully you guys can take some of these, modify them a little bit, make them your own, and have some fun with them. But that'll conclude today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. And before I get out of here, as always, huge shout out goes to the Marty Mob. If you guys don't know, the Marty Mob is the membership program here on the channel, and I got to give a huge shout out and thank you to them at the end of every single video, because they do help support and grow the channel by their monthly memberships, and it means the absolute world to me. And just gotta say my appreciations and thank you as always. So thank you, and we'll see you guys on another video. I don't know when this video comes out, so maybe tomorrow. We're gonna have daily videos. We upload videos 5 days a week if you're new here, Monday through Friday. And so if it's Friday, we'll see you Monday. If not, we'll see you tomorrow. And until next time, guys, peace.
Hit him 3 times like a hat trick. The name is Swayze, no Patrick. If you play him, then it's tragic. Hit him with the mythic, yeah, that's magic. MTG, that's what you'll see if you like and subscribe. Where's the upload, man? Man, all of the time. Coming with the best decks, this is the meta. This ain't cheap.